For our first session today, we have with us Mr. Pawan Gadia. He's responsible for creating and expanding the franchise wing and the online division of Ferns Petals. Today, under his leadership and guidance, it is India's biggest and best flower brand and website. I hand it over to Mr. Gadia to tell us how he took the great leap by taking Ferns Petals from bricks and mortar to digital. Please welcome Mr. Gadia.
Good morning, everybody. Good to see a session starting on time. Rarely happens. So, when Raghuveer invited me to come and speak here in terms of our experience, I don't know how much would I be able to contribute, but I can take you through our journey of, first of all, building the offline stores, and then how did we go online and what happened exactly. So, Ferns Petals was started in '94 by Vikas Gudgutia. He's the owner of the company, and we established our first shop in Southex in Delhi. He comes from a family background of doing flower shops in Calcutta, and he realized there is a potential here of doing flowers. And the first shop did well, so why not do a second shop? The second shop was opened in GK1 market. His wife was managing the shop. Running a flower shop is a very tricky business. You need to be there personally, because people like you, when you go to a flower shop, you want to express a particular way of sending flowers. It's not just going to be what the florist is going to decide and do it. So interacting with the walking customer, and so it's very important for the owner themselves has to be in the store to run the flower shop. The third shop was opened in Arvindo Khas market. That also did very well. So by this time, you learn that you can make a certain amount of money, or you can expand in flower shops only to a certain extent. So how to go beyond this? To do this, he started putting up flowers in weddings. So any wedding which is happening in a five-star hotel, a prop being there, and you put on flowers on those props. While this was happening, the availability of flowers itself was a challenge. So how to get good flowers? So we started a wholesaling wing within the company, wholesaling wing, wherein flowers which were being grown in Pune and in Bangalore, we used to get them on a commission in Delhi, sell them, and pay the grower back as to this what, and that also secured our backend in terms of fresh flowers. Somewhere in 2001, we decided that we wish to expand our cocoa outlet and so on. So somebody from Faridabad, a lady walks in, ki, you do such beautiful flowers and you have so many shops, why don't you give us your name and one of your karigar to come and do flowers at my place? And that's how franchising started for us. So the first shop in Faridabad did well. Some friends and family who had been visiting the shop, or for that matter, the customers who had been patronizing the shop for long, they decided, why don't they open a flower shop? So a New Friends Colony flower shop opened. So franchising started in this way, and it slowly started expanding. In 2001, we decided to do it more formally and have somebody looking after this business directly. So to do this, we first created a franchising prospectus. So how to create a franchising prospectus? At that point of time, there was nobody to consult or guide. So we got all the franchising prospectus of those brands at that point of time. So Archie's prospectus was bought in, Sagar Ratna was bought in, and so on. And we created our own one-page prospectus and started advertising in a couple of magazines that we are available as a franchisee. Somewhere in 2001 itself, the first non-Delhi franchise opened in Chennai. So that again gave us a lot of strength that, hey, this is doable. Now, while all this was happening, we were all learning. We really didn't know what would work, what would not work, and then we tried almost everything, whatever it has to go in terms of franchising. So starting from this interiors of the shop, we started making it more standard, 2 walls of wood, 1 walls of mirror. The merchandise which we used to buy, we used to go to China to source all the artificial flowers, glass vases, because the shop used to be somewhere around 300 odd square feet, and you cannot fill it with fresh flowers all the time. The shop needs to be stocked with various other non-perishable items also. So going to China, buying all that stuff, at that point of time, me being a vegetarian and going to China and finding nothing to eat was a challenge, but then we did that as well in terms of buying our merchandise. bringing consistency in terms of board. So a single board supplier was found. He used to supply his board for all across the country. Uniform, t-shirt for the guys who are the karigars out in the shop. That started happening. The hiring of manpower for the company-owned outlets and for the franchisees. So we realized the franchisees doesn't matter, we do up the shop, but we also need to go up and set up the shop on the opening day and make sure that the shop looks alike as all Ferns and Petals. So that again was the new learning which we started doing. We did a lot of mistakes while doing all this. So in our quest to expand faster, more quickly, we compromised on everything possible. Anybody wanting to open a shop, first floor pe, khol do. Basement, doesn't matter. Then we realized mall culture was at that point of time coming up. So somewhere around in 2005-06, a lot of malls were being opened in the country, and we thought, okay, why not open shops there? So we took shops in malls, but all the shops which we opened in malls had bombed. A flower customer is a customer who wants to park his car and buy the flowers and move off. He doesn't want to go into a basement, pay 30, 40 rupees for parking, take a lift and go up and buy the flowers. So malls, shops in malls will not do well for us. We realize that. Today, when you reach to a stage, we realize that some of the franchisees who had started with us then, they felt that we don't need the brand anymore. The learning is over, I don't need the brand anymore, and we would not want to continue. So they were giving us a hard time, or for that matter, not following the entire guidelines and rules of the company. So we decided to terminate their franchises. So that franchise being termination brought us to a vacuum in those places. So as a company policy, we decided that anybody who behaves in such a fashion, we will open a shop close to him or opposite him. So we have three instances in the country wherein we opened shop adjacent to the flowers, to the shop which was existing as a Ferns and Petals before. And happy to say that all the three shops today are a bigger challenge to those guys than had we taken this lying down. With all this learning, we realized that a flower shop would not have done, or we would not have been this strong had the online presence would not have been there. So I'm going to talk about the online presence in a while. In between, today, when somebody signs up a franchise, what all do we do for him with the entire learning of last 10, 15 years is that we screen the franchisee. Do you come from the same social background? People come to me a lot and say, okay, I want to open a flower shop for my wife. She's free these days, so she wants to get engaged. No. It has to be your earning possibility. It has to be a day-to-day lifetime opportunity. Only then would you be able to make this as a success. So screening the franchisee, okaying the location wherever he wants to open the shop, inviting him to Delhi to get trained as to how to become a shop manager or a florist shop owner, providing him trained manpower, which goes from Delhi to his particular city, and those guys stay with him forever. In case they fall sick, they fall ill, we provide a standby manpower to run the shop and produce the same way of Ferns and Petals effect of producing flowers. So that's being done. Apart from this, we also have 3 warehouses where you can buy all the non-perishable stuff, like an artificial flowers, glass vases, crystal flowers, the cellophane ribbon, whatever is used in a flower shop. That again is supplied to him from Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata. We also pass on all the online e-commerce orders which we get to him. So he has a ready-made sale starting from day one. And every day there is a continuous improvement, or there is a thought as to how do we make his life better, how do we make he gets more sales. So the latest idea which we have today is when you go to a hotel these days, you see there's an iPad sitting on the counter and they show the entire room here. So instead of having printed catalogs, we'll be introducing iPads on the desk of a florist, that if you wish to send flowers from Delhi to Mumbai, he can, with the click of a button, you can see yourself as to what you want to do, or for that matter, an exotic bouquet or a arrangement, or maybe a jaimala or a core decoration. So these are the continuous engagement improvements we have doing it, and that's how at least the retail aspect of the business is growing. To sum it up, as far as the retail business goes, today we are somewhere around 140 flower shops across the country. We are present in 55 cities across the country, starting from Srinagar, we go down to Mangalore. We are present in smaller cities like a Meerut, a Gorakhpur, a Haldwani, or a Siliguri. we believe the success of the shop today lies in three things. One is that the COGS of the store, the cost of goods sold, the fresh flowers percentage and the ingredients which goes into the shop, the percentage has to be very tightly controlled. So that's one aspect of the business. Second aspect of the business is the person who's running the flower shop has to be smart, has to be motivated, and has to be incentivized in terms of profit of the shop. So that shop will do well. And third is tie down all this in ERP or a platform which takes controls of the entire leakages, the pilferages, and the database, and the security of the entire, this particular part of the business. So that's to talk about our retail business. I don't know how many of you know that we also do weddings. We are one of India's biggest wedding planners. And when I say wedding, when you see this picture, whatever you see in this picture is totally in-house for us. So whether it is creating a 50,000 square feet of tent, putting it, the entire theme inside of the customer's choice, having designers like a Preston Bailey or a Damien Co or a Margie Lindsay from Australia coming and designing the wedding for you. The entire furniture, the carpeting, the lighting, the air conditioning, the generators required to power those air conditioners, or for that matter, the trucks to carry all this is entirely in-house for us. So this is another aspect of our business which is highly profitable but not very highly visible. So anything which you see in here is 100% in-house for us. This is how we are present across the country in terms of our cities. So if you see, there are smaller cities, and we have a couple of shops in a lot of smaller cities, multiple shops. Raipur, for example, opened a third shop in last 2 years. Highly encouraging. These are a couple of our shops, how they look like. We have a flagship store in MG Road, and this store is all flowers are imported. We want to convey that this is the strength of flowers. The designs which are there are very unique, designed in-house by our designers, and at times being contributed by Tarun Tehliani or JJ Valaya or Preston Bailey or people across the world. And flowers being sent in an air-conditioned van, a lady accompanying a flower and wishing you on the appropriate occasion, a guitarist going along with that delivery and playing a song for that occasion. So these are the kind of innovative services which we have been able to introduce in order to make a differentiate between us and the local florist out there. So what I'm trying to say is that the retail was not built on a day. It was a lot of hard work, lot of trials and error and learning which we got over a period of years. And today we feel that we are closer to what we would have wanted to achieve as far as the retailing business goes. We also introduced a kiosk model which really didn't do well, but when the rentals were very high, so this kind of model doesn't really work for us, we realized, but then we experimented with this as well. And then as I already mentioned, the 3 warehouses which we have, wherein all my franchisees can buy whatever you see down here and a lot of other cellophane ribbon, OSS, floral foam, scissors, and so on. Coming to e-commerce, so that's the agenda of the session today, as to how did e-commerce started. In 2002, somebody from India Times walked into our office and said, can you deliver flowers for us in Bombay? So at that point of time, we used to deliver flowers for people walking into our own store. Ki, aap delivery kara doge kya? And then we had a tie-up with the best guy out there. We didn't have our own shops, but we had a tie-up with florists in different cities. So we said, yeah, we can do it. So he said, you will have to pay us a one-time sign-up fee and also a percentage on whatever you sell. And at those point of time, any flower order which used to get booked on a very few sites, the number of sites which used to take flower orders at that point of very, very limited. So it used to say that any order which you book today will be delivered in 3 to 4 days. And India Times told us, can you deliver the flower order today, if I give you an order today? So we said, yeah, we can do that. And we signed up with them. Now, how do we get the orders? So we'll send the orders through a computer. So that means we'll have to buy a computer.